Hello you wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and it's time for the first video of Yearly Favourites Week 2020 as I bring you my top 30 bass remixes of the year. Here we are, very excited. I'm just going to lay down the rules here before we get going. We are talking any take on an original, so your remixes, your reworks, your VIPs, your covers, your bootlegs, your flips, regurgitations, whatever you want to call them. If it is a refashioning of an original tune and it's bass or dark electronic music, then it's considered for this video. No artist or producer can have more than one remix on the list, and no original can be included more than once. So even if you have one tune remixed by two different people, no, we can't be having that. And this is for variety purposes because, you know, variety is of course the spice of life, if you didn't already know. In this video, going from 30 up to number 1, but before that, I'm going to start by giving you a list of honourable mentions. 30 more remixes here that didn't quite make the top list, but which I still enjoy quite a bit. I would even say a fair amount, quite a lot, so narrowly missing out here. Before we get going with this video, and with these videos overall actually, I just want to say this is solely my opinion, one opinion, and I'm not giving any definitive or objective views here, simply my picks of 2020. And with that being said, I also want to know, well, I'd love to know what all of your favourites are in the comments down below, and for this video, of course, your favourite remixes in particular of the year. For me, my favourite part, and so yeah, let's get the discussion going. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to drop the honourable mentions for the best bass remixes of 2020, listed in alphabetical order by way of artist name, and I will leave these up on the screen for a bit for you all to take in, and I shall see you all in a bit. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Might have seen a couple that you are familiar with, I'm sure. But at number 30, here we go. We have the Hunny VIP by Stuka, melding the heaviest and sharpest sides of his style together. It kind of loses its way a little bit in the second half, but the first half is so good that it just has to place here, in my opinion. And at number 29, we have the Blastoise and Ranji remix of Take You Down. This for me is psytrance done right, pure and simple, you know, emphatic drops, and the vocal woven in beautifully as well. This remix is a real journey, and yeah, fully deserving of its spot here. At number 28, we have the Blurred Vision flip of Let 'Em Drip, the hybrid trap duo in full flow here. You know, could have been longer this tune, but what we do get, I think, shows them off at their oozy and incisive best. And following that, at number 27, we have the Coherent remix of Strained, which is one of, if not the most clean D&B track I've heard all year. Yep, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that, you know, super intricate, finely cut, and just lovely on the ear. Moving on, number 26, we have the Scullion flip of GameCube Nintendo, a super cute, nifty little trap tune, you know, very delicately done, and a great bounce to it, and a nice range of sounds and flows on show. I would have to say, if you haven't heard it, check it out. And at number 25, we have the Zeds Dead and Subtronics remix of God Loves Ugly, one that has grown on me a lot over the course of the year, a wealth of moments and snippets to really remember here and kind of latch onto as the listener, and it's fun, colourful, good movement to it, and an accurate reflection, I think, of their combined styles. Yeah, it's fucking good. Then number 24, we have the Wubba Duck remix of Sugar, another where the management of space and timing and note placement is just fantastic. You know, the swing of it is brilliant, and there's a gorgeous melodic aspect to it as well, which we get in the introduction and various other points as well, and it just coheres really well into a bouncy little banger, I would say. And at number 23 we have Boingo 3 by Huke, and I spent a lot of the year enjoying Boingo 2, you know, quite a lot, and then recently, about a couple of months ago, I returned to Boingo 3 and I realised I liked it even more. Kind of like a HD version of Boingo 2. The articulation of everything just that bit sharper and more defined. It's really good. Number 22, the modern remix king, Eliminate with his take on Pony by Valentino Khan, which is just what you'd expect really from an Eliminate take on that tune. His plump and watery sound design just kinda in full flow, and he respects the original really well. An incredible array of sounds on offer and 3 wildly different drops, so a top remix overall, I would say. And then following that, at number 21, we have the Chopper VIP by Hydraulics and Krishan, which is a savage, visceral, sharply cut trap tune that just very much sounds like a descending helicopter, hence the name Chopper. And I love the dynamic between the different drop sections here, and it's just put together really well, cuts deep, and again, yeah, fucking love it. Number 20, the remix of Dash by AC Slater, who just has this incredible ability to really get your shoulders going, you know, truly infectious music, and such a playfulness to it in luring you in that I just can't put down, quite frankly. I do find it difficult to just press that pause button or just turn it off, because it just makes me very happy. At number 19, we have the Vorso remix of Beast, which is probably the most outright riveting and captivating remix I've heard all year. You know, seizure-inducing stuff, very on edge, and delivered in a super impactful way, and amazing energy to it, and all these different genres kind of mesh together into one big ball of madness. It's fucking gnarly. At number 18, the remix by Trigger of Babushka Boy, which is just an extremely solid, heavy trap kind of reworking of an ASAP Rocky hit, put together really well, and a tune that I think, unlike almost all the others here, gets better as it goes on. And I think if there's anyone under 1k followers that I think you should get following right now on SoundCloud, it would be Trigger. TRXGGX. Yep, get following. One for the future right here. Moving on, number 17, we have the T78 remix of The Acid, which is just pure big room techno class. The body of this track, the atmosphere, the way it builds throughout, and the momentous feel of it overall, the variation with the heaviness, it's just practically perfect for what it is, I would say. Moving on, number 16, we have the Radhatter remix of Petrichor, which is one of the most stunning remixes I've come across all year, and tracks overall, actually, I would say, from the time-stopping classical introduction, which is very moving, to the malformed and glitchy yet exhilarating drops, and the general colour of it, kind of like a snapshot from the past, you know, very nostalgic in feel. It's just beautiful. At number 15, we have the Sammy Vergi remix of Feeling Awake, which is just bright, uplifting, feel-good garage, and very full of life and exuberant, joyful. Again, just that thing of making me very happy, and it's quite difficult to put down, and works with the vocal perfectly here, Mr. Sammy Vergi, and it's got a slight menace to it as well in the drops, kind of lying underneath. It's so good. At number 14, we have Temenite Sonar with their 2020 edit of On My Way, and my oh my, how this one has grown on me over the last month or so. You know, most of this for me is just Temenite Sonar at the peak of their powers. I have to admit though, I'm still not as big on the first drop as what follows. It kinda still for me takes a little moment just to get into its stride. But that aside, you know, the stuff following that, the good here is just so on point that placing it here, you can't not. And it's just everything that we've come to love with them as a pairing, as a duo, and yeah, it is good. Following on from there, number 13, we have the Dresso remix of Blood, and it's tunes like these that I've just kind of realised how much I love his music. You know, even when it isn't one of his most insane or infectious ideas, I still absolutely love it. You know, the house we get here, the dark allure of it, the exasperation of the main vocal refrain, it just pulls you right in like a magnet, and again, just very, very difficult to tear yourself away from, you know, more so than the ones I've talked about already in that vein. And yeah, I just love his style so much. Okay, edging nearer now, number 12, we have the AMmanu remix of Formula. And similar to the Hugh K tune, I loved another remix of AMmanu's for a large part of the year. Here's an edit of Berry Patch by Machine Drum and Holly. Then this came around about a month ago and it just blew me away even more. His electrifying D&B design being completely let loose here. The musicality is spot on and the production crisp and defined. And again, that thing of just imagine an AMmanu remix of that tune, and that's exactly what you get, you know. Does what it says on the tin and delivers what you'd expect, so yeah, really good. Right, number 11, and here we actually have a bit of an outlier because we have a tie. Two remixes of the same original that I just cannot choose between, you know. It wouldn't have been okay if they were separate, if they were apart, but they're going to be in the same spot here because I just cannot choose between them here. They are both utterly brilliant in completely different ways, and they are remixes, two remixes of You're Gonna Love Me by Sharks and Via. The former, from Sharks, is more wide-reaching, a kind of epic appeal to it, very solid melodic dubstep, a nice range of ideas and sections on show, and the latter from Via is straight up one of the best cut tunes I've heard all year, you know, super flavoursome, bright, pinpoint accuracy, and just very nifty and clever, and they both excel at the highest level in different ways and provide different experiences altogether. But the joy for me is the same, and it just felt wrong leaving one of them out. You know, I genuinely love both of them equally. They're both top notch. Okay, top 10 territory right here, and kicking that off we have the NAWTY remix of Rain, which is another serious bit of house fun, I would have to say. Yet this one, in comparison with those I've mentioned before already, a bit more gnarly and a bit more directness to it, and it's just the perfect mix of party vibe and dagger-like note placement that really just does it for me here. And I love how it never loses that jubilant feel and yet always has that naughtiness lurking, just, you know, really just bubbling away underneath, ready to pounce. And if you drop in a vocal that works perfectly with that instrumental, then you've got yourself a winner. It's just pure hype. Moving on, number 9, and there are some times where a juicy little lead line just takes over your body and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it, it just completely overwhelms you, and that is what I get, at least, with the OPUO remix of Higher. From the first time I heard this cut, it just got right under my skin. It sat there, it bubbled and festered away, and now it's a part of me. You know, in a good way though, I'm making it sound like it's quite devilish, but actually it's very warm and welcoming for the most part, using the jazzy elements provided by Big Gigantic perfectly. And I love the drawn-out feel of it, provided in the introduction, and which plays a part throughout, I would say. And that naughty bass line to go with it in the drops is just fantastic. It all fits together so well, and yeah, I love it. Coming in at number 8, we have The Chime and Frankie Nuts and Oliver's remix of Burning Up, a melodic dubstep trio that we didn't know we needed, in my opinion, basically. And aside from it being a fantastic mesh of their combined styles, there are loads of moments here to latch onto and remember and groove along with. Stuff to make you want to go back to it again and again, basically, is what I would say. Not massive on the little midway point that we get here, which I would have to say stops me from putting it a bit higher in this list, but, you know, for the most part, this is how you make dubstep infectious, you know, the emphatic sounds, the right repetition, a great flow, variation, it's just fucking bang tidy, mate. Okay, heating up now, number 7, we have Raw, the most raw dubstep power that I've heard this year in 2020. I think fucking Gordon Ramsay would be proud. One of those where the ideas aren't special, but the way they're delivered just makes them insane. And that is the Pfizer remix of Demon Hunter. that mechanical sound just surging up, falling down, and it gets your face all scrunched up. You know, even thinking about it for me, it's just an absolute screamer, a belter, and I love the changes from one drop to another, and we have that theatrical piano opening kicking it off really well. All the while, the production just sounding so sharp, which I think is unusual for a dubstep song that's so loud and in your face, the way that it takes little snippets from the original and drops them in just so expertly. The timing here is fantastic, again, for a tune where it's just so full on and in your face. It's a fucking ferocious little number. Okay, number 6, and a lot of people who follow this channel find it, I think, quite difficult to get into techno, but sometimes I think there's just the right amount of commercial flavour injected into it, whether it be a melodic snippet or a vocal sample or both, and that is what we get here with Better Things by NAWTY. A VIP without having VIP in the title, another booming big room techno belter that we have right here, slowly leaving its mark on you, and you know, some people might say this doesn't do very much, but for me anyway, there's a real art in keeping it simple and allowing an idea to gradually do its thing and leave its mark on you, as I said. A real force to the sound we get here, you know, it's just kind of like a big industrial machine kind of bounding forward, and a very measured and calculated feel to it in the construction, and the aforementioned melody and vocal are great. Just a super impactful number. Coming in at number 5, and you know, people often ask me what I mean by naughty when I'm describing music, and this tune at number 5 is quite a good example of that. A very good example, I hasten to add, and that would be the Pixel Terror remix of I Do The Most by Whipped Cream. And, you know, it's genuinely rare that you get a bass line that just completely subsumes you. Talked about the OPUO before, but this one is just on another level altogether. Properly invigorating house drops, you know, a really, really primal feel to them. I've never been that big on the weird dubstep breakdown moment in the middle, but, you know, grown to enjoy it a little bit more over time, but that does stop it being a bit higher here. That being said though, those house drops either side of it and the way the vocal is utilised here, a very organic combination. It just, again, that thing of the elements we get working together really well, you know, perhaps aside from that middle point, but for the most part, so good and fully deserving of a top 5 spot here. We are now at number 4, and here we have a very simple and to-the-point tribal house cut that knows what it's good for and delivers the exact right hits at the exact right times, and that would have to be the Psycho Boys Club remix of Reckless by Yellow Claw. It's quite short, but it packs quite a lot of punch into the 2 minutes 20 time frame, like a combustible little ball of energy, you know, very excitable, pulsating and hopping from the very first second. Very genuine kind of hype that we get here. You know, Fat Man Scoop, his vocal is handled perfectly for that to be ramped up really genuinely from pretty much the first second, I would say. And those sounds that we get also in the second half of each drop that would just make my eyeballs pop out if they could. And yeah, I just love how full throttle this tune is without ever going over the top. It is a grade 1 banger, pure and simple. Okay, picking up the bronze medal, a song that I heard at Lost Lands 2018 and which I didn't think would ever be released, and I was overjoyed when it was finally put out, and that is the remix of Flying Spaghetti Monster by Spag Heady. A rare case for me personally of hearing an ID and it very much living up to expectations, and you know, that's 2 years later, so a lot of stuff could have changed with it from the ID to that point, and I think he did a good job of keeping it very engaging throughout. You know, like the Psycho Boys Club remix from just before, very short, but you don't find yourself, you know, needing more, pining for more at the end, because it packs, you know, the exact right amount in, I would say. The drop ideas are really solid, the production is good, the transitioning from one section to another is fantastic, and it takes from the original really well in very astute ways, really cleverly assembled, and it's concise and emphatic. Beyond that, another nice little add-on at the end of it being a tune about spaghetti being remixed by someone called Spag Heady. So yeah, this remix, it really does have it all. At number 2, again here, like the Pixel Terror before it, That thing of the music just being proper naughty, but this one being even naughtier than that one, you know, so naughty, it's just too hot to handle. And anytime it's come on, I genuinely haven't skipped it. Like, I can't skip it. I find it very difficult. I just love this tune so much. And that is the remix of Energy by Squad. And, you know, when all the elements of a song just work together absolutely perfectly, not just the sounds and the ideas, but the different sections as well. And it all just forms into this incredibly juicy cut that, yeah, you just can't put down. Those elements being a super snappy vocal from Sweetie Youre, the chirpy introduction and midsection, the refined beat, and the most sumptuous bass line I've heard all year, genuinely. Bar none, haven't heard a better bass line this year, which carries it, the tune, and makes it very irresistible. It's so, so good, and cheeky and very together as well. Just well packaged as a tune overall. And again, I've talked about a tune being difficult to put down, but this one really does take the cake, you know. Another level here of infectious and groovy. It's so, so good. Which leads me to my number one. Now, at this point, I should be getting hyped and happy and excited, but we will be ending on a more solemn note here with our number one. The most moving bass experience I've had this year, without question, without doubt. Perhaps ever, when I come to think about it, and one that I imagine will stick with me forever, and that is the cover of Castles in the Sky by Io. I have to be honest, I've just tried to stave off listening to this track too much. It makes me very upset every time I hear it, you know, given the context purveyed lyrically here, but also through the instrumental, which is very somber and reflective in tone, an inherent kind of sadness to the original that Io chose to refashion, and he did so in a very effective way. And given what happened really not that long ago, lest we forget, it just makes the song itself all the more difficult to hear. But I mean, it's still a brilliantly crafted tune, you know. The management of the vocal is perfect, from the introduction to the main build, the main drop, how it kind of melts down at the end after that. All the while, the heart-rending vocal and lyrics just woven in so smoothly. And yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you know, hear it for yourself if you haven't heard it yet, even if you have heard it, just to remember. But he really did leave us here with a beautiful song. The memories that we each have of him, whatever they may be, etched into this tune, you know, which will allow us to continue to appreciate him and his music, even though he's passed. So with this tune and celebrating it as number one, my remix of the year here, I have to say, rest in peace, Garrett Lockhart, and I hope you are resting easy. Everything you gave the world as a person and musically, we just can't forget it, and I just had to celebrate it in this way. So yeah, number one, my remix of the year in bass music, the cover of Castles in the Sky by Io. But yeah, there we have it, my top 30 remixes in bass music of 2020, the first video of Yearly Favourites Week 2020. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. But here we go, the fun part. Be sure to leave a comment with your thoughts on my list, but also with your favourite remixes of 2020. Which ones did I miss out? And also, what did you make of my list? I might have said that already, but yeah, I want to know. Leave me and drop all of your comments and views, opinions, whatever you want to call them, in the comment section down below. Just to let you know, later on this week we have EPs of the year, albums of the year, and singles or originals of the year to come. So subscribe and hit the bell along the way if you haven't already, to ensure that you're locked in for all of that. But beyond that, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one, my top 25 EPs of 2020 in bass music. Peace!